Pretty fascinating new media deep dive that we wanted to bring to you today on this new streaming service called Quibi, if we can throw this tear sheet up. This is from Vulture. Basically, what Quibi is, if you aren't familiar, as I think many people are not familiar, the idea was the brainchild of Jeffrey Katzenberg, brought in Meg Whitman to run it, raised $1.75 billion for this thing. Yep. So this massive, fancy rollout, brought in all these A-list stars. This was supposed to be like the next big thing. And the whole idea was this concept of like serialized movies. So you would get different little chapters. This was like Katzenberg's idea. It kind of goes to there's this just assumption that what people really want is short form, like that's all that they will watch. Right. And also, I guess, an assumption that people don't know how to press the pause button if they've like consumed as much as they want for that time and could come back to it later. So they build this fancy platform, they bring in all these people, and full disclosure, I haven't watched any of their programming.
I have.
Maybe it's amazing. Okay.
I have. It's terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah. But it's been a total bust at this point, with the programming being completely panned. Things are not taking off, except to maybe be mocked occasionally, and they're blaming it all on coronavirus.
Yeah, I gave it a shot, and look, I actually think there's something to it. I mean, I hear from people who watch this show, you know, and snort Shippets, and whenever they're running errands or running their commute, I think what they got wrong was the content. And really, whenever you go and you read through this, the problem is that the programming itself was just not selected. I do think that there is a large percentage of people who like to watch things short on their cell phones. I mean, people do that all the time. People watch TikTok, people watch whatever. Sure. But really what I've found is that their content is that they basically try to just take whatever's on television and then compress it without coming up with anything new. Because nobody goes on Instagram or TikTok or anywhere else to watch what's already on TV. Right? Like, so what they tried to do here was, I mean, Jeffrey Katzenberg in the piece, look, I think Katzenberg is a brilliant guy. I mean, he turned Disney around and all this other stuff. But here, he really was living in the past, because he was talking about stuff with people about like America's Funniest Home Videos, about Jane Fonda exercise videos, apparently with Gal Gadot, and she was like, what? Like, I'm not doing an exercise video. Like, it's not 1985, you know? Meg Whitman, they were like, Meg, do you watch TV? And she was like, well, I watch Grant on the History Channel, so she's a woman after my own heart. Yeah. But it's also like, maybe I'm not the ideal program executive.
Well, it's a matter of a couple of things to me. I mean, first of all, look, my mentor in this business is basically like, there's no bad ideas, there's only bad execution. Yes. Like, if it's good content, then people will watch it. If it's not good content, then it doesn't matter how fancy. There's always, I feel like there's this fixation, especially in Silicon Valley, on the platform itself and like the platform and the idea, and like, we're going to revolutionize, we're going to disrupt this whole thing. But actually what you're just talking about is you need to have stuff that people want to watch, and then it'll be successful. It's really not more complicated than that, although that is a very tricky thing to pull off, right? It's a lot harder than oftentimes people think it is. So there's that piece of like the obsession with the app part of it and the platform part of it in and of itself, which is a Silicon Valley common theme and failure. But then there's also this like sort of patronizing, condescending view towards millennials, where it's like there's this assumption that if you just make it short, then millennials will love it. Right. There's this assumption that everybody knows, like, this is the thing again, it's like, okay, if you create content that is good, then this generation, younger generation, will watch it. As I mentioned, they're trying to blame this on coronavirus, which, look, maybe,
I definitely think it hurt them.
Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
But on the other hand, you have a lot of people who are like on their phones constantly right now and are looking for different distractions and new things to do and whatever. So I'm not really sure I don't really think that explains it.
I think it's a story of arrogance, really, about programming in general, and about really misunderstanding why people watch short-form video or long-form video on alternative platforms. That's something they just didn't really understand. I watched it. They did like a Punk'd series. It was terrible. You know, they did like I tried to watch some of their news stuff. It was basically like watching news on TV. I'm like, why would I pay for this app to watch news on my phone that looks exactly the same as as NBC News special report, right? I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Well, and
it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of it.
Who's even getting their headlines that way? Even CNN doesn't operate that way anymore, of just like, let's do the headlines, because you get that from, you scroll through Twitter, if you have an aggregator or Facebook or whatever your platform of choice is, like that's where you're getting your headlines. You don't need someone to come on and like read them to you. So it doesn't really make sense from that regard.
Well,
but it's just interesting to see. Again, they had literally billions of dollars raised. I mean, we heard lots of buzz. We have heard lots. And look, maybe they'll turn it around. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe they'll get some programming that catches on. And it's still early in the game, right? They've just launched relatively recently, so all those caveats aside. But it's just interesting, the sort of flashy people and ideas that get money just thrown at them who really don't have a clue what they're doing ultimately.
That's the real key. All right. Tomorrow on Rising, we're going to discuss the latest on Gallup's political polling with the editor-in-chief of Gallup News, Mohammed Yunus. It's going to be interesting.
And we're going to discuss the 2020 race with a member of the Trump campaign as well. They've got some questions to answer. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Helps others to find us and make sure you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.
See you tomorrow.